Well, we drive, bike, bus, or walk on them every single day. We see them on our way around town. But what do you really know about the hidden mysteries and stories behind Winnipeg's historic streets and buildings? Doors Open Winnipeg provides a great avenue for Winnipeggers to get in touch with the city that was. The free event takes place next weekend across the city, but registration officially opens tomorrow at noon. And ahead of that, we're joined by Cindy Tugwell, Executive Director of Heritage Winnipeg, who joins us live in the Classic 107 studios. Nice to see you, Cindy.
Good morning.
So for those who have never taken part, how does Doors Open Winnipeg actually work? What does it look like?
Well, Doors Open Winnipeg is citywide and it's free. So two important features is that it really is a way to discover the entire city, and the website is really everything you need to know.
Yeah.
So doorsopen.ca, as we start this interview, is really where you're going to get all your information about what it is and what sites and tours are available.
And we'll be linking to that later on at classic107.com and the Classic 107 app. This event, it's been going on for over 2 decades.
22
now.
years
22
this year.
years. How has it maybe changed over the years to reflect changing interests and new discoveries that we're making about our city and its history?
I think a lot of the buildings, we started off downtown and looked at these buildings that have changed over time, whether it's a fire hall in St. Vital that's now a museum, or it's the Royal Bank that's now the Culinary School, or the Millennium Center that's not a bank but an event center. And that's what I love about this Doors Open is you see buildings that have been rehabilitated that could have been lost. You see buildings that have changed over time for usage to evolve with social change. And so really it's a window into ongoing history, not just past.
Right. What are, as you contemplate all the different stops on Doors Open Winnipeg, and I'm sure we'll get to some of the additions in just a second, but maybe what are some of the more popular stops that people can expect to see or even to tour year over year?
Well, year over year, the Vaughan Street Jail, of course, because it's a wonderful theatrical performance. And so really it's arts and built heritage really coming together.
Yeah.
And wonderful volunteers. And River City Syncopators will be back. That's our live band.
Awesome.
On the green space out front. And I think, again, Doors Open is really a hybrid of bringing the local artists together, whether you're a historical tour guide. We've got the Haunted Winnipeg Tour again, Matt Cohen's Haunted Signs in the Exchange District. So there's really a lot of diversity for interest, different interest in age demographics.
Sure. Any new sites that you're seeing in 2025 that people can check out for the very first time?
Well, I really want to plug the Canadian Forces Base 100th Anniversary 17 Wing. They have spent an immense amount of time planning this event to celebrate 100 years, and our military history is very important. And again, you say going back it's important, but currently it's important with fires and different things that are going on. And so this is a window, a very rare window, to participate in various activities on the base, whether it's a bus tour, whether it's interaction with various buildings and facilities and the bands and what they do. And I think of the reason why I'm really pushing this is because this is an anomaly. This won't happen again. This is a special event. So that's dear to my heart. And also the Black History Experience Manitoba is putting on our Across the Ocean to Canada special exhibit at the Millennium Center. So we talked about beautiful built heritage and character-defining elements, and then an exhibit so people can have an immersive experience and interact with another culture and learn the history of Manitoba that might have been lost.
Yeah, or definitely like maybe shunted off to the side as the history books, as we know, it's often written for a very specific and oftentimes through a colonial lens. So to be able to spotlight those kind of stories, very, very important. Maybe it's too much to ask about what your personal favorite spot might be. It sounds like you love them all, but maybe what's something that stands out to you as a unique sort of an offering and an anomaly? You talked about the Canadian Forces 100th anniversary, obviously, but what's something that's like a very sort of standout experience that you're going, wow, that brings the stories of Winnipeg's built history to life in a whole new way?
I would have to say collectively the walking tours, because I think when you see how Doors Open has evolved, it really was about the built heritage, but we weren't able to get into a lot of buildings, and we wanted to tell the collective history, the stories our buildings tell sometimes, especially in the exchange with the streetscape. So we've put a lot of effort into adding different walking tours in different parts of the city. We feel it's important to do that. So we've got new walking tours on Selkirk with Michael Champagne leading this year. And I think it's very important to expand out into the north part of the city. So we've got Northeast Historical Society at the Elmwood Curling Club new this year. And we've got the Northwest Historical Society doing a walking tour. So I think it gives a collective history, gives a bit more breadth and perspective to what's going on.
As the city contemplates these sort of accessible ways to get around and active transportation, it strikes me that doing walking tours in a city like Winnipeg that is very much a street-oriented city, a car-oriented city, might give people taking these tours a whole different lens, a slower lens with which to interact with Winnipeg's built history as well.
I think that's important. We have Trolley 356 taking you around the downtown to learn about exactly that, feeling comfortable, a little bit more comfortable in your own city. We've got activities and events at the Forks, and we certainly new this year we have the Horse and Carriage at Old Market Square, just to bring back a little bit of nostalgia to the area and really sort of embracing. Mariage Hotel is doing a first ever tour of the grotto that they hope to open soon in the basement that hasn't been open in decades. So there's some really neat little things that people can learn about that probably they'll come back, and that's the whole goal. Is this event is to showcase our city, but it's also to showcase the wonderful cultural and nonprofit organizations that are in these buildings that continue to be great stewards that need support.
And to encourage a deeper sort of an engagement with the city around us. The city is undergoing some really significant changes as well, with landmarks like Portage and Main being completely revamped. At the same time, heritage buildings constantly sort of under threat, either for rezoning or demolition, or even with fires destroying these structures. If I think about the historic Ironworks building as an example, how can taking a tour through the city's past help us to understand its future and where it's going?
Well, as you know, Heritage Winnipeg has been dedicated for almost 45 years to protect those buildings, but not only see them not demolished, but to see them rehabilitated.
Yeah.
I see you have to have them occupied and be economically viable. And what have I seen over the years is that Doors Open gives an educational experience, and it's wonderful entertainment, but it's also educational. So we get a lot more support from the public, understanding why we protect these buildings, why they're important to Winnipeg's history, and that support goes a long way when we have to advocate to City Hall why we want to see this building protected. And there's a lot going on in the exchange with new builds, with infill, and with additions on heritage buildings. So it's ever evolving. The 21st century is quite a different century of how do we reuse these buildings for completely different new uses.
The city is not the only thing that is changing around us, but perspectives on history are also changing. We touched on this a little bit before, in that our city's history will probably gain new perspective as our understanding of history and who writes it and who is put in the spotlight of history is put under close examination. Our process of curating history, if you will. How do stories about our city's history gain this new perspective as our understanding of history and our growth of our understanding of history continues?
I think particularly with everything that's going on in the world today, I think it gives us a perspective of how important it really is, a greater appreciation to look back now and say we have amazing assets, and we want to do local tourism, we want to do national tourism, and we want to really increase civic pride and national pride. And I think our history is really important to remember where we've been, to know where we're going. And if you look to Europe and UK, they already understand that. They're much older than we are. We're just starting collectively to understand that social connectivity across Canada. And it's quite empowering. And I think that pride is allowing people to appreciate the importance, and environmentally how important it is also to reuse an existing building. So on many levels, it's social history, architectural, cultural, environmental. There's so many, and I have to end with the economic benefit to tourism and hospitality and the exchange. The film industry was a $500 million industry in 2024, if that can tell you how important they become.
Absolutely. All the more reason to check out Doors Open Winnipeg. Registration, as you mentioned, opens tomorrow at noon. How can people get involved with these tours?
Oh, they can. I mean, we want you to explore as many as possible. So we want you to check everything out. Make sure that you are really good at checking the times, the dates that they're open, if it's rain, if they're going to have to pre-register or not. So not all tours are pre-registration. Only the ones where there's capacity limits.
Sure.
But right at noon, we encourage you to register right away. If you have any questions or concerns, call us. But everything is free, and all the tour guides at each of the locations will help you out.
Awesome. That website again, doorsopenwinnipeg.ca to learn more about these tours. We'll link to it, as I said, at our website and on the Classic 107 app. Cindy Tugwell, it's such a joy to have you here in the studio today. Thank you so much for telling us more about Doors Open Winnipeg.
It was a pleasure to be here. Thank you.